All right, thank you very much for clicking on my video, clicking on my link, and considering me for coaching. I'm here wearing my active wear on a Sunday with my hat to keep me warm here in the winter, and we're just gonna have a conversation. This isn't some marketing video where I am up in front of a bunch of people with my headset hooting and hollering, or where I'm using clever marketing tactics to get you to want to work with me. I want you to work with me because you're comfortable and because you know that I have solutions and can help you. All right, and that's it. Right now, if you've come across this video, it's because I'm booked. No worries. I get openings too fairly frequently. A lot of the people that schedule with me might only be able to do 1 or 2 sessions with me, in which case in a week or two I could have a spot that opens up, and that could be you. So email me, okay, any of your problems or concerns or your reasons for wanting to coach. I included that email. If you go through and fill your information out, you'll get my email address as well. So just shoot me an email and let me know what your concern is and why you're looking to coach with me. And maybe I can point you to a resource until I can get you one-on-one live. All right. So without further ado, let me offer you some free material. So we're talking about secrets. Well, what are secrets, right? Well, secrets are just things that you didn't know before. This information is certainly out there. If you want to siphon through a couple hundred books and talks and lectures and studies on the topic of intergender dynamics to try to find some of this info, you're welcome to it. Have at it. I've done that work already for you, and so I can offer these things and hand them right to you. And so some important, the things that that are being presented here are important and common questions that I get all the time. So secret number one, okay, why men usually fail in attracting the women they want. Okay, this one is very simple. What ends up happening is a hot girl walks in to a room, all right, whatever, or you meet a hot girl, and because she's attractive and gorgeous and all that stuff, you see her as a higher value than yourself. You might not think that logically, but it registers in your hindbrain or your monkey brain. So keep in mind, your neocortex is only responsible for a small percentage of your behavior and your thoughts. Our difference is the difference between, at least from a genetic standpoint, okay, the difference between us and a chimpanzee brain is only a few percentage points. All right, that few percentage points, believe me, makes all the difference in the world. It's the difference between being able to use my iPad and, throwing, things in a zoo and not being able to go further than that. So 1 or 2% difference in brain function is massive. However, we still have this evolutionary history and past and brain functioning that runs the rest of our habits and our biological drives, okay? So when we see a pretty girl, there's some biological drivers that are in place. Oftentimes we see that pretty girl as being better than we are. Well, here's the problem with that. In the thing called sexual market value, okay, we see her as more valuable because she's attractive. Well, the thing is that women are what's called hypergamous, which means their desire to mate with somebody is to mate and be with somebody who is at a higher level than they are in terms of sexual market value. They need to perceive the guy that they decide to have sex with, the guy that they decide to mate with, long-term relationship with. They need to perceive that man as being better than they are in order for them to be sexually attracted and happy with that guy. And so if you believe because she's pretty, okay, which is usually what it boils down to. I mean, you can throw down all the personality traits in the world as to why she's amazing, but you wouldn't be trying to court her for those personality traits if she weighed 600 pounds. So let's be real, okay? It's because of her physical attractiveness. That is the reason why you're perceiving those traits as being higher than the same traits with somebody else. and why you're perceiving her as in your hindbrain as being more sexually, having higher sexual market value than you. Okay, so as soon as you present with that perception, whether it's a cold approach at a bar, or a message on a Facebook or Tinder or whatever, or whether it's somebody that you've known for a while and works with you, let's say, and you decide and you interact with them and communicate with them, you're going to communicate that they are better than you. And again, that hits their hypergamous brain and makes them not want to mate with you, okay? Their biological self doesn't want to mate with someone who they perceive as lower. And if you perceive yourself as lower, your sub-communication, which means the words, how you say the words that you say, your body language, how you type out a message, the frequency of the communication in the messages, the tone of voice, down to even word selection, it's going to convey that message that you find yourself lower than her. And we see this all the time in like marriages even, where guys will say, oh, it's my better half, or oh no, I'm so lucky to have her, she's so much better than I am. And you see this self-deprecating language. And even if she's chosen to marry that guy, the problem is she won't see him with the level of sexual attractiveness that is required for that relationship to be truly happy and for her to be happy in it. You know what I mean? So a lot of times women will settle with a guy with the resources who would be a good dad and on paper looks great, but her sexual attractiveness to that guy is relatively low because he sees himself as not as high. He doesn't see himself as at least her equal in sexual market value. So that's the reason, okay? You might find yourself in this position where your girls, females are after you that you're not that interested in because you don't see them as high a value as you, but then the one that you want isn't interested in you. That's a very common thing because you see her as having higher sexual market value than you. And so that's the crux of the reason. Now, here's the thing. The starting point of getting rid of that mindset is this. Recognize that a pretty girl is only pretty because she won that genetic lottery, okay? If she has a good hip to weight ratio, good skin, pretty face, do you know what I mean? Nice physical features, right? And she's just a sexy voice. Her presentation is beautiful, not because of anything she's earned. Whereas your sexual market value as a man has to be earned for the most part. A certain amount does happen because of looks and genetics, but most of it is because of what you go out and do. And anything that is earned is always going to be at a higher value than something that is just received through genetics. So keep that in mind, and when you talk to that pretty girl, that woman at work, that girl at work that's about to have you in the friend zone because you keep portraying this message that she's better than you, keep that in mind that, it's probably due to just how she looks for the most part, and looks are an unearned thing. And so you have a lot more to bring to the table than you realize. You start recognizing your own value, start capitalizing on that value, and start behaving as a man who's confident and understands the value he brings to that sexual marketplace. You will find yourself getting the women that you want, all right? And that's the starting point. Now, how to convey that message and communicate that stuff, well, that's why I do my videos and my coaching. So keep in tune to what we're doing here. Hopefully we'll talk soon if that's something that you're stuck on. So secret number 2, why women and men find themselves unhappy in a relationship. Okay, there's a lot of reasons why, all right? But here's the number one kind of driving thing that I find, all right? And this is through coaching hundreds of people at this point. The thing that I find in a long-term relationship why both men and women are unhappy. With women, it has to do with mate selection, usually, and men, it happens to have to do with the sexual polarity. But even in either case though, it boils down to this one thing which we call frame. All right. So frame is the reality that you see or you perceive the world through. Okay. So your beliefs, your thoughts, your convictions, all of those things are like looking through a glass or looking through a window, and then there's reality out there. Okay. So you have objective reality, and then you filter that objective reality through your own subjective thoughts, beliefs, concerns, convictions, and so on. All right. So now in a relationship, it's because the man is supposed to, from a polarity perspective, the man's supposed to lead in the relationship. Now, I know that that's going to sound really unpopular to a lot of you, but there's a reason why this egalitarian equalism is part of the reason why there's unhappiness out there too. Okay, there's things that men bring to the table, there's things that women bring to the table. They're not equal, they're just different, all right? And so one of the things that a man's supposed to do in a relationship is he's supposed to lead the relationship. So the man sets the frame, okay, that both of them look through. Her frame is supposed to match his at some point in that dating process, and then he's supposed to guide the leadership and the direction of that relationship. The beliefs, thoughts, convictions are supposed to be led by the man, okay? And what happens is the man will, instead of leading, he'll placate to the female. He'll try to make her happy. He'll try to please her. He'll do all these things. And so when she brings up things that are outside of the frame, he'll try to placate to that. Essentially, she becomes in charge and in control of the frame and not him. So she starts running the direction of the relationship. Well, this throws off the sexual polarity, and she ends up being unattractive, eventually ends up being unattracted and unhappy with her man. The reason why, of course, is because females want the most dominant, best sexual option that she can mate with. That's what her hindbrain, that monkey brain, is going for, all right? So that is what her instinctual drive is going to be towards. And so if you become the placating nice guy in the relationship that is just doing whatever she says and not demonstrating leadership, you'll be working really hard to make her happy, and she will be incredibly unhappy and ungrateful about all of your efforts. And then you as a man are going to feel emasculated and unhappy. Okay, and this is kind of the crux of what happens in most relationship in some form or another. Now, there's an issue of mate selection for females. Females will often select the guy that is less dominant because he's a little bit less dangerous, but she's not as attracted to him as she would be somebody else. And then she expects him to step up, but then he doesn't, and so then that creates this problem where she is having to step up and do everything, right? You run into issues too with guys, and just what'll happen is, the female, when even if she meets and is with the guy that is her most dominant, best sexual option, she decides to marry that guy. Her hindbrain is going to want to test that throughout the relationship. She's going to want to test his resolve. She's going to want to test his dominance. It's not something she's doing even intentionally most of the time. It's something she's doing to see. Her monkey brain needs to see that he is still that dominant man that she chose. And what happens is the guy who's now settled into this marriage wants to make her happy. So instead of being the dominant guy that sets this frame, he instead bends to her will, you see. And then what that creates is a polarity problem where she runs the show, he doesn't have a say, and you see this all over the place. Guys will refer to their women as the ball and chain, or the warden, or the boss. You know what I mean? In sitcoms, it's presented where the guy is like a dopey guy who can't do anything right. That's the patriarch in the family in the sitcom, and then the woman does everything. You know what I mean? And that presentation is a flawed presentation and has led to just unhappiness in relationships by and large. And it boils down to frame. So if you're a man and you're listening to this and you want to better your situation with women, whether you're in a current relationship or not, It's something to be talked about. How to be a leader with the person that you're dating, courting, or in a long-term relationship with. How to set that frame where you're listening to her concerns, hearing what she has to say, and then taking care of what needs to be taken care of as a man. And then as a female, how do you support your man to make better decisions? How do you act in your role as the wife to, or whatever, girlfriend, whatever it may be, to allow him to set that frame and to be the dominant leader that you want him to be? And also, how do you choose the right guy who's going to be that for you? So these are things and concerns that, on an individual basis, we might need to work on. And then secret number 3, secret number 3, the thing that'll change everything for you and will change everything for your partner, all right, or future partner. That thing is behavioral modification, okay? Just that simple. The difference, don't claim to be a therapist. I'm not here to do therapy for mental disorders. I'm not in a typical therapy or even marriage counseling sessions are two people who talk a lot and dump their problems out and just continue to dump and dump and dump all the negativity, onto a therapist for an hour session, and then they go home. That's the typical formula. In the case of coaching, we're talking about the problems for sure. I'm talking about these truths and these secrets, I'm talking about the reality of intergender dynamics, things you might have not have heard before. We're helping to dissect the things that are making you tick and help your decision making. But more than any of that stuff, we're coming up with an action plan. So coaching is action, okay? It's not useful if you don't have an action plan, and that action plan always involves modifying your own behavior. I can give you, and I will, if needed to, just email me. If you start with me, I will inevitably give you resources to read if you have time. Okay, I will inevitably give you good books on this stuff. But it doesn't matter. You could read all the good books in the world, but if you don't actually modify the behavior, if you don't do action, it won't matter. All right, so all the knowledge in the world on this stuff is, I can give you all the knowledge in the world on women. Females, I can give you all the knowledge in the world on men and how men work. I can give you all the information in the world. I can give you the blueprint for happiness. I can hand it to you. However, your hindbrain and your brain is going to be making decisions based on past behaviors, based on habits, based on self-concepts, based on reactions. You're going to have these drives and decisions. And so what we want to do is we want to recondition your behavior so that it matches what is going on in reality, and it matches what behaviors are going to be useful for you that's going to help your long-term success and happiness. So we're replacing toxic or ineffective behaviors with new, better behaviors. We're replacing thought processes and frames and mindsets that are less useful and less truthful usually. We're replacing that with things that are going to be better for you in achieving what you want, which is happiness in, your dating, your relationships, and just your interaction with the opposite sex. So those are 3 little secrets, 3 things. I do these videos. Tune into my Facebook business channel where I show up and do live videos all the time. We just talk about stuff, ask me questions, share the information. My YouTube channel we'll have video updates, and I provide this information for free for a reason, because I want to help you guys, all right? But at the same time, just the information isn't going to be enough, which is why you're considering coaching with me. So drop me that email, put your information in. Thanks for considering me. When I have an opening, we'll talk, see if I can help you, and we'll get on a plan. We'll start actioning stuff. People's lives change usually rather quickly and sometimes immediately, and they start seeing results right away. And so I'd like for you to be able to see that in your life. And so I appreciate it again. And until I can talk to you one-on-one, jump on my Facebook business channel, or Facebook business page rather, jump on my YouTube channel, hit like, subscribe, share it to support what we're doing, what I'm doing here, what we're trying to do, which is help people have better relationships. And, ask questions, donate if you feel the need, if you like what you see, send a donation as well. I need to monetize what I'm doing so I can do it at a larger scale and help more people. So thanks again. I appreciate you tuning in. I gave you a good amount of content. So this wasn't just a marketing video. This is free info that's here to help you. And I can't wait to help you more than just this. So thanks. Talk to you later.